Parents of Reddit, at what point did you realize that your child was turning into a piece of crap? And this is the reality. For all the pieces of crap out there, very few parents recognize it in their own kid. Can confirm. Brother stole an elderly woman's purse and ran for it when he was 19. He was caught because the police had been monitoring him since he had been previously caught breaking into someone's house in order to rob them, and breaking a car's window to steal a laptop inside. Mom still has. T realized her son is a criminal. He's just a highly intelligent, misunderstood angel. I had a co-worker work out his kids were shoots because he was a crap father. It was impressive. He spent most of his time outside the house without the kids and they were desperate for his attention. Heartbreakingly desperate. He didn't like reading bedtime stories to them because they climb over him. I asked how often he was home for bedtime and he said twice a week. Well crap. I asked if he noticed how troublesome kids had absent parents and he replied he did notice that. I looked at him and asked if he considered that perhaps that was the issue in his household. He was silent and exceptionally introspective for a week and then started going home a bit earlier. Kudos for pointing it out to him. Most people wouldn't have the balls to flesh out someone's parenting flaws to their face. A longtime friend is a single mother. She's a handful, but her toddler is troubling. I was hanging out with him one day and he started pinching me. I asked, "Why are you pinching me?" He said, "Because I hate you." That's not nice. I don't hate you, and I'm gonna cut your eyes off, and cut your nose off, and cut your lips off. My dumbfounded expression of concern toward single mother friend. That was weird, she said. She then denied that he ever said that and completely ignores all of clearly psychopath in the making traits. Cruelty to animals, disrespect for elders, doesn't eat regularly, is allowed to stay up past midnight because she's getting stoned and drunk and that clearly takes precedent over the well-being of her child. The whole situation is fricked. She's a terrible mother. He is a terrible kid. I distanced myself from the friendship because I don't need that crap in my life, nor do I need to aid and abet it. Kind of joking. Maybe, since my kid is only a toddler, but one day after removing him from the bathroom for the millionth time, I realized he would go in there, slam the toilet lid to catch my attention, and then wait till I got to the bathroom before he started trying to do something like drink the toilet water or unravel the TP. As soon as you tell him no or catch him doing something he shouldn't do, he hulks out and goes into hyperdrive and does whatever it is as fast as possible before you can get to the other side of the room to physically stop him. Hopefully this is just a weird toddler phase. Yeah, it's a phase. My kids are 24 and 16 and did similar stuff. Toddlers are buttholes. I do work for my husband's employer from time to time. The boss has 3 kids. We will call them T1, T2 and T3. T3 being the oldest. I had been warned that they weren't normal but didn't know the extent until I met the youngest. He's 5. I was introduced as Mrs. No Pants Dancer Patty and he promptly flipped me off with both hands. It wasn't until a few hours later that he scared the crap out of me. When I asked him politely to stop making a mess with his lunch in the waiting room, he came over to me calmly and motioned for me to come down so that he could whisper in my ear. At which point he said, "I am going to gouge your eyes out and skullfuck your eye sockets till you die." I asked another employee if this was the norm, and apparently it is. I keep my distance from this kid. He throws tools at the staff, swears in front of customers. When he doesn't get his way with his father, he will hide on the property, one day hiding for 3 hours under something, till his father gets on the PA and caves. I am certain he is a sociopath in the making. I am expecting my first child and I'm terrified it will happen to me. Why the heck does a 5-year-old know the word skullfuck? When he got a freaking B in kindergarten. Like, what the crap? It's kindergarten. How do you get to B? What a piece of crap. We have 4 children, one of which displays hallmark bipolar behavior with a family history. We honestly noticed he was different shortly after birth. He is incredibly smart, determined and brave, but I feel like it's good we got him because I am more stubborn than anyone I know and will not bend, ever, to a whining child and its exhausting many days. Sometimes the exhausting days fat outweigh the good ones. but I refuse to make excuses for his behavior, because he is going to have his own life someday and I want him to know that he is not the center of the world and he needs to be a good part of it. It's a very hard balance to try and be loving when you are angry, use positive reinforcement when you don't want to, but I'm the parent and that's my job. I think there's a place in the world for people like him and I want him to find it without a struggle, but I also don't want to let my kid walk all over me or anyone else. In short, at birth, he cried and didn't really ever stop just being unhappy with everything. I still love him but don't put up with his crap and we've had some epic standoffs that he has not won yet, so hopefully he grows up into a productive citizen. If all parents were like you, the world would be a much happier place. All credits to you. Not me, but my mom with my sister. She's been a self-centered, entitled bee since she was old enough to have intelligent thoughts. My mom has given her everything she possibly could in life. She tried to pay for her to get through college. Only 2 years after I was forced to either drop out or bankrupt my mom and make her lose everything she had. I dropped out. She still does whatever she can to buy her whatever she wants. Food, gas, clothes, you name it. But when my mom couldn't fund her college education anymore, it was World War III, when my mom won't give her $20 for gas because she quits every job she gets within 2 months. She's a bee. When my mom won't let her drive 5 hours away to a rough city for a concert because she's a 4 minutes and 10 seconds 19-year-old girl who has a bad temper. My mom's the worst person in the world. Until recently, my mom's just said she's a teenager. She'll grow out of it eventually. I think she's finally realizing my sister is just a bee who wants to be handed everything in life. I mean, she's 19. It's time for your mom to let your sister know what cause and effect and consequences and responsibilities are. I think a lot of parents purposely do not see the bad in their children, because most of my friends with kids love and adore the naughty one but are dongs to the nice one. This is almost a universal theme and rarely see it the other way round. I have no idea what it is about treating the one who behaves like they are supposedly wanted to like crap, and lavishing attention on the brat. It's like they think they're so together. Frick them, they don't know anything. Not me but my sister. My parents don't see it but I do. She is 16 and spoiled. Parents get her the latest phone, TV, pretty much everything. Also they have started to let her drink, as long as it is in the house. But she has a mini fridge and my parents keep her stocked on drinks. She has already told my parents that she is not going to college and my parents have accepted it and I feel as if they have given up on her. What bothers me is I was never able to get away with half of what she does. Even at 25 I would never think of talking back to my parents. While Liz will cuss them out because they won't give her enough spending money for the day. I did not have a phone till I was just about to graduate, was not allowed to go out past dark. I didn't have my first drink till I was 22, had to work for my allowance, and was pushed since junior high to go to college. I don't complain about it too much because I like to think I will be the more successful sibling. I also have a brother. He is only 12 but shaping up to be worse than my sister. He got so upset one time at our grandmother that it caused a huge fight in the family and my grandmother was cut off by my parents. Went 2 years without talking to her. The reason she got after my brother, he did not clean the restroom after being told for 5 hours that it had to be clean. I like to think I will be the more successful sibling. You definitely will be at this rate. My little brother had a lot of ADHD related behavioral problems from the time he was 2 or 3 until late in elementary school. To each other, in private, my parents often referred to him as Diablo. My neighbor's son has ADHD and I listen to him have hour-long bedtime meltdowns at least 3 times a week. It was worse during the school holidays. Sometimes I just want to give her a hug or something because holy crap, the screaming. My nephew is a demon. He tells my sister, who is his stepmother, that she's a bee, that she hates him, that he'd rather die than be in this family. He has been suspended from school for fighting a bunch of times. Then it boiled over this weekend. She sent him to his room for not doing his chores, so he started bouncing a basketball against his door to be annoying. My sister told him to stop, so he got a bat, came out of his room, and smashed the spindles of the upstairs banister while screaming, "I'm not paying to fix this." So there's my pregnant sister, standing there, watching her stepson violently destroy the house. His dad was called to punish him, and the solution was that he had to stay home from his mom's for the weekend, because she just spoils the kids. This kid wants to go live with his mom, who, by the way, has a kid with some guy who is in prison that she never dated, has been roommates with college students as a 30-something, can't afford sheets for the bed this kid sleeps on, and hasn't paid child support once in his 13 years of life, and tried to convince my sister that she had a handshake agreement with my sister's husband that she didn't actually have to pay child support, and therefore the $20,000 or so that she owes in back child support is null. His fraternal twin brother is an alright kid. He can be a dong sometimes and he's a little addicted to the internet, but ultimately he's a good kid, and when he does act hurt by my sister's actions, it's by hiding in his room and crying. I like his way better. Tried to convince my sister that she had a handshake agreement with my sister's husband that she didn't actually have to pay child support. There is literally no such thing. If they don't have a court order stating there is no support owed, they are still liable for child support from day one. A message from my mother who barely knows how to use a computer when he started skipping school and not coming home when he was supposed to. Then I found a journal of his where he documented his petty crimes with friends and attempts to break into people's garages to steal things. He's nearly 33 now and he's been a pathological liar basically since he was old enough to hold a conversation with. He's also an alcoholic with 5 DUI charges in the span of 3 years and hasn't had a driver's license for 8 years. He's been homeless multiple times and jumps from relationship to relationship so he can have a place to live and be supported by someone else. Oh man, I'm so sorry. My son is 13 and is a sometimes crap. I feel like it's up in the air whether he'll get his act together or not. Most days I'm pretty optimistic, but I know that he has obstacles to get through that I'm not entirely sure he will overcome. So, not all parents are unaware, sometimes we're just working toward and hoping for the best. My kids are both pieces of crap monthly. They will discover some new way to be incredible buttholes. Then I spend a day, a week, or a month training them out of whatever new crappy thing they do. Then they find a new way to frick that crap up. I'm pretty sure that's just called child rearing. When he checked my phone for my Reddit username then stalked me. "Hi there you little sucker. Let's have lunch next week. Mexican? Now let's get pizza." Last week. Toddlers are horrible little buttholes. My son is 2. He love switches to the point where I can't leave him alone in a room or he will immediately try and experiment with a socket. He turned off the freezer at the wall and we didn't realize and lost a few $100s worth of food and, as a broke mom, I just sat on the floor and cried. It smelled awful. When he left his wife of a month for a bartender named Jake, my former parents-in-law, probably. I want to know the story here. This post is practically dead because what parent wants to admit that their kid isn't butt? Your username reminds me a way by which a parent could harmlessly vent and also seek help through putting out the issue or problem anonymously. After my son was eaten by a polar bear, the next day I returned to the zoo and saw the polar bear taking a dump. That's when I realized. That's some cold crap, Jenny. I'd love to tell you, but don't want to deal with the downvotes and comments accusing me of being at fault. Bottom line, I believe some kids are just born bad. There's always those black sheep. I know a couple people who are absolutely nothing like the rest of their family. I can't figure out how these guys turned out so bad when they come from normal middle class families with nice parents and normal siblings. There's clearly something else going on beyond how they were raised. Colleague of mine. Don't work with her much. Wish she'd figure out that her son is not a special snowflake who needs care and understanding to work through his behaviors. He is a bullying little crap who doesn't like being told no. He's a spoilt brat with an attitude problem. Not a parent, but I know when my mother realized my youngest sister was a piece of crap. As chish as it sounds, I almost saw the faith in her daughter leave her. So backstory, my youngest sister is awful. Basically went through a destructive spiral and my parents tried so hard to try and help her and reduce the damage she was doing to herself and others. Anyway, my parents had taken her phone from her and she didn't like it and threatened to self-harm if they didn't give it back. They didn't take it seriously to her face, but after she had stormed off they did a whip around to clear everything up and make sure there was nothing around that she could do damage to herself with. So 2 days go by and nothing repeated and she seems to improve. School comes and she goes in the morning, and by the end my mum gets a call to say she is in hospital having taken an overdose of paracetamol at a friend's house. And when my parents went to see her in hospital, the first thing she said to them was, "This wouldn't have happened if you had given me my phone back. Take it up a notch and cancel service. Walk her to school and home." My cousin is 18 now. He's really intelligent, but he's failed out of school twice. Failed out of an apprenticeship and failed out of a vocational course, hasn't stuck to any of them for more than 6 months. He's 18 and has literally no qualifications of any kind. His parents are very successful and very wealthy and he is an only child. I remember my dad talking about a visit they had from the family when my cousin was 4. Dad was playing with my cousin on the floor with some toys. My cousin, for no reason, smashed him full in the face with the toy he was holding. Completely deliberately. My dad's an ex-cop and is ex-military. He loves kids and he's great at playing fun and silly games, but you do not frick around with my dad and he does not tolerate disrespect or violence from anyone at any time. So dad gives the kid a stern talking to. "We don't hit people. That's not a respectful way to behave. We don't hurt other people in this house." My cousin sits and looks at him blankly as he talks, waits for him to finish and then smashes him in the face with the toy again. The kid is just laughing and my dad is really goddamn mad now. At which point my aunt sweeps in and picks up my cousin, who is still laughing, and tells him in a cursory way that he's a naughty boy and to come away from there and come and have a snack and play with a different toy, and basically just ignores the incident completely. My dad was livid. The kid hasn't gotten any better. When he was about 7, my aunt started asking family to stop sending him actual gifts for Christmas and birthdays because both of his rooms were now completely full. Apparently she bought him something every time they went anywhere and they'd just run out of space. When he was 9 he was asked not to come back to one of the kids' sports teams he played on because he was such a little crap. In a world of wealthy people where pretty much anything is tolerated if you pay enough, that's hard to achieve. He was a spoiled little crap from the start and I have no idea what his parents are going to do with the monster they created. He's quite friendly, but he doesn't say please or thank you. Stays up all night playing games online. Shows no interest in ever getting a job or leaving home, where his mother cooks and does all his laundry for him. And just doesn't give a frick about anyone else as far as I can tell. I saw him at a family funeral last year for the first time in a decade. At the wake we said hi and did the polite small talk, and he then went and sat at one of the tables with his headphones on and looked at his phone for the next 3 hours until the family left. Let's be honest, middle school years 6-8 would be the logical point to notice. My aunt married a nice guy, got 2 sons, and divorced after 3 years of marriage for no apparent reason and without warnings. Official reason given: I just wanted to have kids, now I got them. Guy thought they were happily in love until that fateful day. His depression was borderline suicidal. Years later, with both kids about to reach teenage, their desperate father, and now ex-uncle, approached me telling me how the kids look up to me and asked me to help put him on track. He told me he has been trying for years now and the teens being kind of deadline for most parents. Following the logic, once in puberty they won't listen to him anyway. He was running out of options, especially only getting to see him every second weekend. Kids were bad in school, little to no manners, one being stuffed with all kinds of vitamins because he was always sick, eating nothing but junk food all the time and thus way overweight, and playing video games non-stop. So I visited at least every second weekend and did crap with him. Today they are 17 and 19, athletic, were decent students, not the best but still top 25%, working as apprentices, and healthy. Even the one that was always sick. I can't tell you what I did because quite frankly I don't even remember most of it myself, but I can tell you it was not the kids' fault. The hardest part was to get the mother to stop being in the way of their kids. My mother realized it when I had a nervous breakdown in 6th grade, became anorexic and bulimic, started slashing my wrists. I had so much pressure to have perfect grades and I couldn't handle it. I still struggle every day. but I see the way she looks at me with disgust or pity because I wasn't a genius. She did not care that I was well behaved and never misbehaved much. But every time she looks at me, I can see how she regrets not taking her abortion pills and terminating me to the next world. I think this is a pretty common reaction for kids who feel pressured to meet a standard of perfection. I'm so sorry. When I asked him what he was going to do with his friends tonight and he said I'm going to chill with my boys. He's 17 and Canadian. I don't know how he came out of my body. When he fell into the gorilla pen. Piece of crap kid here, now 30 and successful, found out my single mother was attending tough love meetings. I was often in trouble with the law and at school. However, with her wild mood swings she wasn't able to stay on task with anything she learned. Result, I became feral, disappearing for weeks at a time in the summer, often not coming home after school. I was a really good kid, but I'll flip script and tell a story about parenting gone awry. My mum and dad divorced when I was 5, but my mother, still, has a big personality, and it was even bigger back then 20 years ago. My dad drove a Ford Tempo that mum didn't like and would call it a shitbox. "When are you getting rid of that shitbox?" was one of her go-to lines. So one day we're out to eat at a diner and I see a Tempo drive by out the window and my toddler Slef said, "Look, another shitbox." Kids will learn from what you do, both in terms of big things and little things. Was acquainted with a couple who were hardcore Scientologists. One of them was assistant to Priscilla Presley, so we're talking high-level access. They raised their kid under the guidelines given to them. Never discipline the child. Just explain, nicely, what he did wrong. The kid was a freaking snotbag terror at the age of 6. Sat after dinner with friends. Dad is washing dishes next to me with kid. Kid starts cutting into me about how I am gay, too short to be a man, married, professional, and I'm 5'8 inches, no giant but no shorty, ginger, etc. I tell him it's not okay to say these things to anyone, never mind an adult. Dad watches on silently, never going back for dinner or investing time in the kids again. When my son was about 10 months old, he used to crawl over to a shelf that contained all our CDs, 1990s, in alphabetized order, and throw as many as he could on the floor before we could get to him. He quickly learned we didn't want him to do this, so whenever he saw the opportunity he would crawl over there as fast as he could. Finally, one day I realized he was slowly crawling backwards toward the shelf, maintaining eye contact all the way. Thinking we wouldn't notice, I realized just then the depths of his wickedness. About 2 months ago, I'm pretty sure my kid is a sociopath at least, and she is only 4. She does things that are intentionally mean and hurtful, both physically and emotionally. She abuses our animals. She intentionally hurts us and others under the disguise of giving hugs. She has dug her fingers into the necks of our family, including her older sibling. These aren't things done when she's mad, and she laughs when she does it. I suspect she may also do these things to children at school. She manipulates them sometimes to get them in trouble. She gets in trouble a lot at school as well for disobedience and the like. We took her for a psychological evaluation and they wanted to do a whole workup. Mentioned autism, but I don't think that's it, or not all of it. She honestly scares me at times, and I won't leave her alone with other children or our animals, even to use the restroom. Kids are like farts. Yours are okay. Everyone else's are freaking terrible. And only attractive to weird people. Can't say for myself, but my parents probably realized this a few years ago. I can probably answer for my parents. My oldest brother purposefully tried to drown me in our pool when we were younger, maybe 12 and 9. I can't even recall how I survived. Probably me. I'm a self-centered prick who has been threatened by my mom to kick me out when we have a huge argument. That happens often. The only thing is that I have a job but barely any motivation for college. Plus she uses my SSI for the rent, so I'm also part of her support. Like I said, I'm a prick. She's done everything for me and I constantly give her crap. When you find a story about them on our Child Free. One of my distant uncles is one. He's a lot older than me, H-addict, been in and out of jail multiple times. He has a son too. I feel really sorry for him. Last I heard, my uncle literally visited his dad one last time on his deathbed just to steal his ring and gold watch he was wearing to score more drugs. My brother tried to rob a Walmart with a pocket knife when he was 14. I have a 4.5-year-old who is obsessed with saying poo on the floor and anything about poo generally. Any excuse to say it, even if it's just, how are you? Have you pooed on the floor today? Piece of crap kid here. I realized that I was worthless in high school. Proving it now. Crappy grades, no friends, no extracurriculars in high school turned into attending an average college. There, I didn't have any friends or hobbies. Graduated without honors with a worthless degree. Took 6 months to get a retail job. OFC unrelated to my degree. And I got fired 5 months into the job. It has been 5 months since I got fired, and despite many applications have yet to even be able to make it to interview stage for any job. Still no hobbies or friends. I have no passion or ambition. I'm 99% sure I'll be killing myself before I turn 25. I turn 23 next month. I was much like you in my 20s. I'm 40 now and my life is better than I ever imagined. Not rockstar great by any means, but stable and secure great. Life is long and everything changes eventually. Keep at it. My parents raised my niece because her parents, their son, was a piece of crap. She earned her title when she stole the jewelry my mom bought as a gift for my wedding. Before the wedding, there is so much more, but this is kinda when she ended up on my radar. At least, that she is a total crap. She was given so many chances and opportunities to turn her life around but chose her path. She is now a frequent flyer at the county jail and has been completely cut off by me and my mom. She is a manipulative drug addict with anger issues. She always said she never wanted to end up like her parents. She ended up exactly like them. You have been visited by the IT lizard. Upvote or experience bad internet for a month. Like and subscribe, you magnificent person.